What's going on, my Century Unit? It's the Sentiment here. So it's been a long time since I review a WCW pay-per-view. The last WCW pay-per-view I review on this channel was Starrcade 1997. That was the end of last year because it was close of the 25th anniversary of that show. I haven't reviewed a WCW show ever since, or even a non-WWE show ever since. You know, I need to get back on track, reviewing some non-WWE shows like WCW shows, ECW shows, TNA shows. Not too sure about the AEW shows. I don't know, never say never. Anyway, folks, today I'm reviewing WCW SuperBrawl 2000 or SuperBrawl 10. This show was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California on the 20th of February in the year 2000. The attendance of the show was 8,569. SuperBrawl 2000 received about, anybody guess how much pay-per-view buys that SuperBrawl 2000 got? Anybody? Anybody? No? Anybody? No? I'm going to tell you right now. SuperBrawl 2000 received about 70,000 pay-per-view buys. You heard me. 70,000 pay-per-view buys. 70,000 pay-per-view buys. It's a low buy rate, by the way. Holy crap. And by the way, the following year's SuperBrawl, the final SuperBrawl in WCW's history, that SuperBrawl Revenge in 2001, also received the same buy rate as this show with 70,000 pay-per-view buys. The following year's SuperBrawl, that's SuperBrawl 9, a show in 1999, received about a good buy rate, received about 485,000 pay-per-view buys. Holy shit, night and day. You could tell at this moment in time, WCW, the product was falling down the cliff, the buy rates is going downhill, the attendance was going downhill. I think the TV rating of Nitro and Thunder was also going downhill. Like, WCW in the year 2000 was their worst year in the company's history. Compared to the WWF, they went on to have one of the best years in the company's history because of the star power, focus on new stars. This is the polar opposite. Focus on the stars of tomorrow instead of focus on the younger stars. Yeah, they focus on building stars like Booker T and Scott Steiner, but it was too little, too late. I'm not doing this to bash on WCW. I really want to, because I don't do it. I don't go, WCW shit. No, that's not the truth. Because they do put on good shows, WCW. But in the year 2000, it's just like the product and the company is going downhill because the following year the company went out of business. It's just really sad. Like, they used to be number one, competing with the WWF, because of Raw and Nitro. The golden years was 96, 97, 98, and some certain degree the first half of 1999. And then fast forward in the second half of 99 and the start of the year 2000, the company was going downhill. And then on the WWF side, or the other side of the wrestling landscape, their boom period is going up. In this current timeline, not so much of right now, but anyway, you get my drift, you get my point. Anyway, so this is by the way, let's talk about the commentary team. By the way, the commentary team for this show, we got Tony Schiavone, Scott Hudson, and Mark Madden. Mark Madden is a poor man's Jerry Lawler, because he is. He's comparing Mark Madden to Jerry Lawler it's completely stupid. Like said earlier, or seconds before, with WCW 2000 to the WF in 2000, it's golden shit night and day. With Lawler and Madden, night and day. Lawler is one of the best color commentators of all time. Madden is the worst. Every time Lawler jizzes his pants over a half-naked lady with big breasts, he does it you can tell it's witty and really okay. Even though people don't like Jerry Lawler as a color commentator in the Attitude Era in this timeline, with Madden, his jokes are not funny. I think that he's very offensive. He's just he's the worst commentator. I mean, it's very sad. They used to have Schiavone, Heenan, and sometimes Tenay, sometimes Rhodes, sometimes Sabisco. At this moment in time, you can tell the three-man commentary team has run its course. Yeah, the following year they end up doing the two-man commentary team of Schiavone and Hudson. Madden brings nothing to the table. Before he was a commentator, I think he was working with the WCW website team. And all of a sudden, yep, He's the color commentator replacing Bobby the Brain Heenan. I might be wrong about this. Don't quote me. I watched like an old Bobby the Brain Heenan documentary. This was like 12 years ago about like I think in '99 Heenan had cancer. I'm not too sure on it. Don't quote me on it, but I'm not too sure, man. It's really sad. Like you're replacing Heenan with Mark Madden. It's just like wow. He brings nothing to the table. Anyway, let's talk about this show. By the way, this is the first WCW 2000 pay-per-view I review on this channel for a long time, for almost 2 years. The last WCW 2000 pay-per-view I review on this channel was the final sold-out pay-per-view of WCW's history. That was in the year 2000. That was known for Chris Benoit winning his first world title. He won another one in WWE years later. Anyway, that was after Bret Hart faking the world title due to his concussion. He's staying in a match against Goldberg at Starrcade '99. He also wrestled matches while he was concussed, forfeited the title, retired for 10 years. I'm guessing, I might be wrong about this. It's been a long time since I reviewed Sold Out. That I said, like, I think I said Sold Out 2000 was the post Vince Russo pay-per-view. This show is also another Vince Russo post pay-per-view because Vince Russo was fired from the company. I'll get to more of that shortly. Kevin Sullivan was the booker at this moment in time. He's just finished what Vince Russo started. And yeah, you know, in that match, the main event was, I think it was Benoit and it was Benoit and Sid Vicious for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And this is the show. I'm talking about Sold Out 2000. That was the show that crowned the new WCW World Champion. Benoit won the world title on that show. And then after that, he left the company because he hate Kevin Sullivan because of the whole stuff with Nancy Benoit. Because Sullivan is a dumbass. Didn't booking a divorce angle with his real life wife Nancy at the time. Nancy Benoit, or actually it was Nancy Sullivan. Then she became Nancy Benoit because Nancy and Chris got married in year 2000. So they kind of like, you know, they had bad blood, you know, in the mid to late 90s. Then Benoit, like I said, left WCW, gone to the WWF, and took Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn with him, and formed the Radicals. So that's the catch-up between Sold Out and SuperBrawl. You know, Benoit, Benoit was the world champion. He left WCW, didn't take the world title with him, and went and took Guerrero, Saturn, and Malenko with him. Formed the Radicals in the WWF. So that's it. That's the end of the catch-up. So anyway, like I said, this is a second post Vince Russo pay-per-view, and don't worry, folks, he came back later on in the year. I'm talking about Vince Russo, by the way. So before we get to the actual matches on the show, I'm going to talk about one segment to kick off this review. This revolves around James Brown. You know James Brown. He saw that singer. He sings "I Feel Good," "Living in America." WCW in a nutshell, they kind of really insult the fans' intelligence. Anyway, this was during this rivalry between the Cat Ernest Miller and the Maestro. So this is clash of music backgrounds for the Cat Ernest Miller and the Maestro. Ernest Miller is about jazz and funk, and the Maestro focus on classic musical, opera, whatever. So they did this wager that, if the Cat Ernest Miller don't produce the real James Brown, he needs to become the Maestro lackey for a periods of time. So he came out with crappy theme music because that's not actually his theme music, the Ernest the Cat Miller. That because WWE don't have the rights of his own theme music. They have to dub it due to copyright issues. Anyway, so he came out. He called the fans at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California, rednecks. I kind of disagree because even though I'm from the UK, I don't call the people from California rednecks. Even though I don't think I don't think it's part of it's not really part of the southern states of America. Florida is, but not Cali. That's short for California, by the way. Anyway, so he kind of teased the fans like, "Oh, James Brown's going to show up," and he introduced James Brown, sort of but it's not real. It's basically a fake James Brown impersonator. It's some kind of like chubby black guy. He's bald because he's wearing a black wig. He's wearing a crown and a robe. Basically insulting the fans' intelligence, and then out comes the maestro, and with his valet, that's formerly known as Ryan Shamrock. Was it Symphony? Symphony? Yeah, Symphony. Almost call it Symphony. Symphony, like simp. Why Maestro is simp for Symphony? Anyway, it's Symphony. Symphony. She's formerly known as Ryan Shamrock, the kayfabe sister of Ken Shamrock in the WWF, and also her real name is Alicia Webb. Alicia Webb used to be part of a faction in the WWF in the Attitude Era called the Pretty Mean Sisters with Terry and Jacqueline and Meat. Meat is aka Sean Stasiak. And then Ryan Shamrock gone to WCW and become Symphony, the valet of the Maestro. Anyway, so the Maestro took the wig off the fake James Brown impersonator, and the cat Ernest Miller says, "You cannot disrespect the Godfather like that." And the Maestro says who? And then some kind of mysterious voice in the background, off camera, says me, and out comes the real James Brown with his version. I'm guessing his version of the Rosebuds. This is like 14 years before Adam Rose's Rosebuds. So James Brown come out with his own Rosebuds. He came to the ring. And then for whatever reason, the Maestro kind of like fall down for whatever reason. I thought like Ernest the Cat Miller attacked him like some kind of sneak attack. Nope, he collapsed. What the hell? Anyway, so afterward, and then in the end, you had James Brown. Unfortunately, he cannot play his actual music. With its "Ow, I feel good," or "Living in America," because WWE don't have the rights of his music, so it's what it is. Anyway, he came out, and the cat, Ernest Miller and James Brown kind of danced, and that was the end of the segment. Wow, I'm guessing like they're trying to insult the fans' intelligence, teasing like, "Hey, well, we're gonna insult the fans' intelligence, like, hey, James Brown might not show up, We're gonna bring you James Brown, but not the real one, just some kind of a fake impersonator." Like similar what they do it years later with the fake Barack Obama impersonator at the Capital Punishment pay-per-view in 2011. But yeah, it didn't got the real Obama, by the way. Anyway, so yeah, they kind of they didn't really heavily promote that. Hey, James Brown might not show up on this pay-per-view, and guess what? He showed up. It's basically just guessing making the fans guessing, is he gonna show up or not? It's kind of stupid, and there's a reason. It's one of the reasons why this show got the lowest buy rate. Like, yeah, we're gonna have a celebrity, we're not gonna promote, we're getting the fans guessing, is he gonna show up or not? And he did show up. What the hell's going on? So it's just like, and also I said in my classic WWE pay-per-view reviews that I said like doing segments on pay-per-views just never worked. It just simply never worked. It's just like these pay-per-view wrestling pay-per-views are purposely there for live action highlight reels. That it's just basically wasted 10 minutes of pay-per-view time. It didn't really serve a purpose. It's just like this segment came across. You probably see it. It's better off on Nitro or Thunder, not on a pay-per-view at the time you're spending a lot of money. I'm trying to keep it short and simple, folks. I'm kind of rambling. I'm trying to get my points across. Anyway, so it's just kind of like stupid why they did that. If they do it on Nitro or Thunder, it might pop up rating, because at this moment in time, the WWF won this ratings war. There's no going back because of the previous year. The finger poke of doom. Mankind won the WWF title, so it's just what it is. But yeah, it's just like, save it on weekly wrestling TV shows, not on a pay-per-view that you spend a lot of money. The more focus on the live action wrestling, not just the segments. So that's my 2 cents on it. You know, it didn't really serve a purpose. I know who James Brown is, but it didn't really serve a purpose. You know, it's just basically like the stuff between the Maestro and Ernest the Cat Miller. So anyway, let's talk about the matches on the show. So we got 11 matches on the card, and by the way, we got about 4 matches. Yeah, 4 championship matches on the show for the Cruiserweight, Hardcore, Tag Team, and the World Heavyweight Championship. So the first match, this is the finals of the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. So we got Lash LaRue, the future Corporal Kahan of the Misfits in Action, taking on the artist formerly known as Prince Laikea with Paisley in his corner. If you don't know who Paisley is the future Sharmell, the future Queen Sharmell in WWE, and also the future wife of Booker T. So how they get to this why the artist, I'm gonna call him the artist, and Lash LaRue in the finals of the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. How they did this tournament to crown a new Cruiserweight champion. Anyway, so at Starrcade 99, Medusa won the Cruiserweight title, and then the following month at Sold Out, Oklahoma won the title. That's Ed Ferrara. He was the co-writer of Vince Russo when they were working in the WWF. So yeah, Oklahoma was doing the whole tasteless Jim Ross impersonation. It's stupid. So after Oklahoma won the Cruiserweight title, that was basically the final nail of the Cruiserweight title and plus the division. They did a tournament to crown a new Cruiserweight champion that'll be on this show. So let's talk about this match. So this match, I don't say it's terrible. It was dull. Feel like a match you probably see on Nitro or Thunder. The Cruiserweight division, it was so white hot in 96, 97, and 1998. You can say in a certain degree in the first half of 99. Fast forward in the year 2000 is dead. Most stars, they end up like doing their own thing in WCW or leave the company. Like Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera was doing their own thing, part of the Filthy Animals. Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho left to go to the WWF. The Cruiserweight title and the division was on its last legs. I don't say last legs. It reminds me, this is similar with WWE's Cruiserweight division of like the mid 2000s and also in the mid 2010s. I don't want to get in this video. Like you got no guys and we're not getting over. It's basically guys having a match for the sake of having a match. Anyway, the match was. There was no high-flying moments in this match. That's known for WCW's Cruiserweights are known for the risk-taking, high-flying moves. We never got that. You got some, but that's not saying too much. Besides that, it was just a dull match, with one botch. We'll get to that shortly. One more of the match, I think LaRue was going for a sunflip roll-up, but the artist kind of grabbed Charles Robinson, the referee, by his nuts, his balls, and then he kind of like he kind of tased the balls of Charles Robinson. It's just what the hell, and also rub it in the neck of chest area of Lash LaRue. I'm guessing the gimmick of the artist, formerly known as Prince Laikea, is basically based on Prince, the singer. Anyway, so it was just a mediocre match, one notable botch on this match. LaRue was going for like a Hurricanrana. He trying to Hurricanrana the artist off the top rope, but instead he completely missed it. Yeah, he completely missed it, and then the artist hit a move off the top rope to pin Lash LaRue and become the new Cruiserweight champion. And that was it. It's just what it is. And Lash LaRue ended up dropping. I think he ended up dropping the title and winning the title back in house shows. He held the belt. I think he held the title. No, I think he held the title. He held the title for 1 month, dropped the title, and won the title back. Because at this moment in time, the titles in WCW were starting to flip flop and hot potatoing. I don't want to get into that in this review in this video. So moving on to the next match of the show. This is a bit better than the Cruiserweight title in the opener. The Cruiserweight title match of this show, but that's not saying too much. This is the second or fourth championship matches on the show, and this is for the Hardcore Championship. We got Bam Bam Bigelow defend the WCW Hardcore Championship against Brian Knobbs. This is a rematch from Nitro a few weeks prior, when Fit Finlay cost Brian Knobbs the Hardcore title to Bam Bam Bigelow. The Cruiserweight title is basically it's an ECW World Title ripoff. You can tell it reminds me of the old ECW championship. When ECW was in the company, and the early years when ECW as the third brand. Anyway, so the hardcore division, it's basically WCW trying to be like WWF, trying to do their version of the hardcore title, or the hardcore division, I say, but it's just they cannot do what WWF doing, because I think WWF at the time had a good hardcore division than WCW. Why? It's basically giving like the low card talent guys in WCW something to do, whether it's fighting for a championship or a storyline for whatever reason. Anyway, the match between Bam Bam Bigelow and Brian Knobbs, it was okay, but it was screwy at the same time with stuff with Finlay, because here's the kicker of this. So one more match, I think you had Brian Knobbs or Bam Bam Bigelow, one of them body slam or like scoop slam one at each other onto a picnic table. Finlay, who's like, he caused Brian Knobbs the hardcore title on, I think it was on Nitro a few weeks prior. All of a sudden, he's helping Brian Knobbs help him regain the hardcore championship. Why? Don't know. I don't want to get into it. So anyway, it wasn't really a bad match, to be honest. It was like the Cruiserweight Championship match on the show, but this is better off on Nitro or Thunder. It doesn't feel like a pay-per-view worthy match. Anyway, in the end, Bam Bam Bigelow was hit Brian Knobbs with his finisher. I think that is called the Greens of Ashbury Park, it's called. Anyway, so I think you had interference by Fit Finlay, then Brian Knobbs clothesline. By the way, he got his arm. Brian Knobbs got his hand broken by Lex Luger. We'll get to more of that later on, because Luger's in the match. So anyway, so Knobbs clothesline Bam Bam Bigelow outside of the ring, pins him, and regained the WCW Hardcore Championship. Like I said, you just cannot pull out what WWF was doing at the time. Like, it was pointless, because it's basically how the fuck WCW never got sued by the WWF and ECW, because for once, with ECW, because the hardcore title in WCW is just like the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. They just cannot pull up a hardcore title division, hardcore title and the division in WCW like the WWF, because I think at this moment in time the WWF was doing the whole 24/7 rule. I don't understand why. I don't want to get into it. I'm moving on. I'm rambling, but it's just what it is. It was an okay match, it's just like it was kind of there. So moving on to the next match. So the next match, this is a 3-on-1 handicap match. So we got 3 members of Free Count. We got Evan Courageous, Shannon Moore, and Shane Helms. Shane Helms is the future Gregory Helms and the future Hurricane, taking on Screaming Norman Smiley. There's one video package of like Norman Smiley got like bandaged up because he got put through a table by the wall. By the way, the wall's in this show. We'll get to his match later on in this review. Free Count, I'm guessing at the time, because boy bands groups at the time was like popular, like pop bands like Boyzone and the Backstreet Boys and Hanson. Anyway, so you had Norman Smiley wearing a San Francisco 49ers shirt, and I'm guessing that's Jerry Rice. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2004. basically pandering to the people in San Francisco because this show is at the Cow Palace. Anyway, later on the show, on this match, you had one members of Free Count remove the San Francisco 49er Jerry Rice shirt off of Norman Smiley. They kind of boo Free Count for that, disrespecting the fans of San Francisco and the 49ers and Jerry Rice. Anyway, but, like the third match, this is similar to the Cruiserweight title match and the Hardcore title match. This is belong on Nitro or Thunder, not on a pay-per-view that at the time you're spending a lot of money. Man, anyway, so you had Shane Helms hit a Swanton bomb. I think he missed or hit Norman with it. It was a sick Swanton bomb for Shane Helms on Norman Smiley. In the end, the finish was a bit screwy. You had, I think, Evan Courageous hit Norman Smiley with a corkscrew twisted splash. That was good to hit. And I think Shane hit like a normal frog splash. And Shannon Moore locked the he kind of locked Norman Smiley with a worse looking lion tamer. That was crappy, very crappy. He didn't got the full extent on it, and Norman Smiley before that, I think he's trying to lock he like two members of Free Count, I think it was Shane or Evan or Shannon, they dance, and then all of a sudden Norman started to dance. This is getting ridiculous and stupid. And then Norman locked his submission hold. What's it called? The Conquest is called. Then Free Count hit the high flying moves onto Norman, and then Shannon locked in the crappy looking lion tamer, and Free Count got the victory, and that was it. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is a special main event, folks. Special main event. I'm using air quotes, by the way. We got the War versus the Demon. Holy fuck, the Kiss Demon. The Demon is Dale Tilburg. The reason why they call it a special main event, because at this moment in time, WCW was in this working relationship with the band Kiss, and put the Demon in a WCW pay-per-view match, for whatever reason. I think they did this segment when members with the band Kiss did a live action performance on Nitro or Thunder. I don't want to get into it. It's like largely attempt for Papa Rain. I don't want to get into it. I like Kiss, don't get me wrong. So before the start of this match, you had the Demon, Del Torberg, was basically drooling blood. And then, Madden says, "Is that real blood?" And Shivani says, "If you know your history, that's just food coloring." Unfortunately, that killed the Demon's character completely dead. Anyway, the match between the Wall and the Demon, or the Kiss Demon. And by the way, they show video package of the Wall. He's just basically choke slamming people. It's just what it is. Anyway, the match was okay. I thought this was gonna be a clusterfuck. Not really a clusterfuck. It was an okay match. It was just kind of there. They kind of dressed things up like special main event, even though it's not really special. And this match is not really in the main event. It was somewhere in the mid card of the show. Anyway, the Demon had okay performance of this match. He hit the Wall with the drop kick, and I think he hit like a move off the top rope. I think. In the end, the Wall got the victory. He choke slammed the Demon. He hit a super choke slam off the top rope for the win. Yep. And they do nothing ever since. The Wall remains in WCW. He was feuding with Vampiro and teaming up with Vampiro in his feud with Vampiro's feud with Sting, and that was it. And also bring in the Demon's real life wife, Asia. That's aka the WCW's version of China, the China ripoff. That'll be months later of WCW. Anyway, it was okay. Wasn't terrible. It's not gonna be like a 4-star instant classic. It was just kind of there. And this is you can technically call it the very worst match of the show. I'm glad it's short, like the previous match. So this is a lethal jacket on a pole match, Vince Russo style match. Every gimmick on the pole. Anyways, even though Vince Russo at this moment in time is no longer with the company. Don't worry, he's gonna return months later. We got Tank Abbott taking on Big Al. Big Al is formerly known as Al Green, who teamed up with Kevin Nash in the early 90s in WCW, part of the Master Blaster. So that's the reason. Tank Abbott's the reason why Vince Russo got fired in the first place, because I say it in my review of Sold Out 2000. I'm gonna say it in my review of Super Brawl 2000. Russo pitched the whole idea to have Tank Abbott, who came from, I think he fight in the UFC. They decide Russo wants they want WCW put the WCW World Heavyweight Championship onto Tank Abbott, and WCW find Vince Russo's idea to be stupid. What they did, released him or sent home, and then he ended up getting rehired. I'll get some more of that in the end of this review. So, Tank Abbott, I'm guessing he's WCW's version or WCW's answer to Ken Shamrock, but comparing Tank Abbott to Ken Shamrock is night and day. I think Tank Abbott is crap. He's not really a good worker. With Ken Shamrock, he's a good worker, and even though in this match between him and Big Al, Tank Abbott was fat, he's a bit overweight. Ken Shamrock was built like a shit house, But anyway, this match sucked. I'm glad they keep it short. In the early stages of the match, you had Big Al and Tank Abbott's hands got tied up with a belt. They basically punching each other with one hand. Then Abbott knocked out Big Al. He's about to climb up and the pole, trying to grab the jacket. He lost his footing. He almost fall out of the ring. Big Al managed to fall out of the ring. He grabbed the leather jacket and won this match. And here's the coup de grace of this ending, or the aftermath of this match. So, Tank Abbott pulled a knife and he kind of put it in the throat of Big Al. I think he says, like, I'm going to fucking kill you, or I can fucking kill you. And then don't worry, he's not dead, folks. And they kind of like briefly cut it away to the crowd, and that was it. Stupid. It's kind of stupid because Kevin Sullivan is the booker at the time, because he's finishing what Vince Russo started. Who the fuck is who? Yeah, Vince Russo did that. This is the previous year in '99, or basically 1998 in the WWF. There's one angle he did with The Undertaker trying to embalm Steve Austin in the morgue, and also at WrestleMania 15 you had the Brood, Gangrel, Edge, and Christian hanging the Big Boss Man off the Hell in a Cell, and that was after Undertaker's match with the Big Boss Man at WrestleMania 15. It's completely stupid. Where are the police? I know it's wrestling, it's not real, it's choreographed, but it's okay to hurt. So I don't mind a wrestler getting hurt in the ring, but seeing like someone carrying like a knife, Pillman with the gun, it's kind of sometimes Pillman that was entertaining with the stuff with Taker and the Brood hanging and bombing people, with Tank Abbott trying to kill someone on live pay-per-view. It's just very tasteless. That's my 2 cents on it. So they didn't do nothing with Tank Abbott. He ended up he was part of the Free Count in the summer of that year in WCW. He was this fanboy of the Free Count, and then he suddenly left the company. So moving on to another gimmick match. This is right for the letter T and the Holland Heat front name. We got Booker, not Booker T, just Booker, taking on Big T with Stevie Ray and Jay Biggs in his corner. By the way, Big T is formerly known as Ahmed Johnson in the WWF. So this is during this rivalry between Booker T and Stevie Ray. They were part of Holland Heat, one of the successful tag team in WCW history. At this moment in time, I think Stevie Ray turned on his brother Booker T. Midnight was gone from the company at this moment in time, so he formed his own version of Holland Heat, introduced Big T, formerly known as Ahmed Johnson, and Jay Biggs, formerly known as Clarence Mason in WWF when he was part of the Nation of Domination. So, and also he kind of sued Booker T took of his name, his letter with his T, with his T out his Booker T name, and also the rights of Holland Heat, his like the attire and the theme music. So that belongs to Stevie Ray and the new Holland Heat. So anyway, so in this match, if Booker T won this match, he will get his T name and his theme music back. Anyway, so this match sucked, and also there were a lot of interference by members of the new Holland Heat. I need a drink, by the way. Yeah, I need a drink, by the way. My throat's kind of like dry. Anyway, it was too much interference, like with Jay Biggs, formerly known as Clarence Mason, and Stevie Ray. Booker T is about to win this match, but instead the lights coming out. The announcers thought that it's midnight. I don't really call midnight a China ripoff. I think she could be a WCW's version of China, but they didn't do nothing with her. Anyway, so out comes this big fat guy who's fatter than Big T, formerly known as Ahmed Johnson, because at this moment in time, Ahmed Johnson, he wasn't really a bad worker. He was okay in the ring, but his mobility was gone. He was way overweight. He's just a shadow of his former self when he was in the WWF in 96, 97. Big T got the victory, hit a Pure River plunge onto Booker T to win this match, and then Jay Biggs cut promo, says, "You ever known and were Booker? I think you're always there." No, I think he said I'm trying to remember the promo, by the way, folks. He said "You're forever known and were Booker," and he kind of announced the weight of Stevie Ray, Big T, and Cassius. Booker, by the way, he's no longer Booker T, he's just Booker. They kind of feud with Holland Heat throughout the spring of the year 2000, and then Booker will become G.I. Bro. I think he was part of the Misfits in Action, and he able to get his T name back. He become Booker T once again, because Big T and Jay Biggs end up leaving WCW. I think they got released due to the budget cuts, and then Booker T went on to be as a main event player, becoming a five-time WCW World Champion before the company went under in 2001. And by the way, the match sucked, by the way, between Big T and Booker T, man. And also, I kind of praise Booker T at this point. Every time I watch a Booker T match in WCW, he does that taunt. He does that shout. He didn't really do it in WWE, but in WCW, he does that. Oh, it's kind of funny. I kind of like that. When he was teaming up and as a single star, he always does that shout, oh. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so moving on to the next match. So the next match, we've got Billy Kidman with Torrie Wilson in his corner, taking on Vampiro. So this is the third match of their rivalry. I think they fought on Nitro or Thunder. Kidman won the first match against Vampiro. Then Vampiro got his win back. Then both of them cost each other tag team matches because they had each other hanging dry. So this is the third match of the rivalry. They end up fighting former WCW World Champions. Unfortunately, they never went anywhere after their rivalries, because Kidman ended up feuding with Hogan. Vampiro was feuding with Sting. Didn't got over. Anyway, the match between Kidman and Vampiro, it was fun. I think it was a good match, I feel like it's belonged on Nitro or Thunder, but I think it was a good match for what it is. I wish they had more time, because this match only lasted about 7 minutes. But I think they made it for what it is, man. Every time one more of the match, Vampiro was going for a power bomb, Kidman Hurricane Runner, Vampiro outside the ring. I think Vampiro hit a gut wrench power bomb onto Kidman off the top rope. One more of the match, he basically had Vampiro. I think he kind of shuffle kicked Kidman, and Kidman accidentally knocked Torrie Wilson off the ring. I thought Torrie Wilson, gonna interfere in this match. Unfortunately, that's not the case. In the end, Kidman hit like this sick move onto Vampiro off the top rope. It's kind of like this jumping, flying, reverse DDT. I'm guessing, I'm not too sure. So Kidman won this match, and afterwards, I think they moved on. Like I said, they moved on to feuding with Hogan and Sting. That was during the whole, New Blood versus Millionaires Club. That will be in the spring and the summer of WCW in the year 2000. But I give it 3 stars. I think it's the 3rd best match of the night. So moving on to the next match. So the next match, this is a Sicilian stretcher match for the WCW World Tag Team Championships. We got the Mamalukes, that is Big Vito and Johnny the Bull, aka Johnny Stromboli, defending the tag team belts against David Flair and Crowbar with Daphne in their corner. In the Mamalukes corner, we got Disco Inferno. For weeks now, you had Flair and Crowbar, feuding with the Mamalukes, beating down the Mamalukes, even though they attacked them in their relative's wedding. Anyway, this was a fun match to watch. I really liked this match between Flair, Crowbar, and the Mamalukes. Yeah, it got really annoying when Daphne screamed throughout the whole match, because at this time she was doing this screaming gimmick. This is just before Melina, adopt that gimmick. I think Melina screams are way better than Daphne screams. Anyway, it was a fun match to watch. I don't think Daphne hurt this match. She did interfere twice in this match. She hit Johnny the Bull with a Hurricane Runner, and she's wearing like a blue wig for whatever reason. And then she kind of sprayed Disco Inferno in the eyes with mace, and then I think Disco shouted "My eyes," and Tenay says, "Who cares about your eyes, man?" The Mamalukes put Crowbar through a table. I think one of the Mamalukes hits a leg drop off the top rope onto David Flair. They kind of tied up David Flair onto the stretcher, so David Flair was the first guy to be eliminated. You have to eliminate you have to put 2 guys into the stretcher to win this match. So and then afterwards, they managed to put Crowbar onto the stretcher. And there's the funny moment of this match. They kind of grab Daphne and tied her up onto the wheelchair, and also tied her voice, or kind of tied her mouth with the tape, because for the whole bulk of the match she was screaming. That was kind of funny. So anyway, the Mamalukes won this match. It was a fun match to watch. I really enjoyed this match. Not gonna be it's not a 4-star classic. If I rate this match, I give it 3 stars. It's a fun match to watch. You got good hardcore moments, I think you had trash cans and chairs, and putting tables. By the way, they put Crowbar through a table, outside the ring. So I forgot to mention that. So anyway, let's move on to, you could technically, you can call it a match of the night, but really, I don't really call it. You can call it. It's debatable for me. Anyway, so the next match. This is a Texas Death Match. So we got Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, taking on Terry Funk. This is the first match they fought since 1989. During that build, Terry Funk fought David Flair in an I Quit match. Flair's promo. There was a video package. Flair's promo on Terry Funk was entertaining. He said, I'm gonna kick your cowboy, woo, ass, woo. It's just kind of funny. This rules of this Texas Death Match, I think you have to pin or submit somebody. Then if they don't get up in the count of 10, you win. It's very confusing. Wish they just done a last man standing match. That's just me. Anyway, it was a good match for what it is. Flair took a fucking beating off this match. Flair. This is a rare time that Ric Flair bleeds, because every time I watch a Ric Flair match, he ends up bleeding. He ends up getting power drivered, and also suplex onto the floor. Every time Funk suplex Flair onto the floor, Flair sells it, and also he shouts shit. He's like, ah, shit. And he got power drive through a table not once but twice. That was like, you took a fucking beam, Flair, man. Anyway, so Flair made Funk tap out with a figure four leg lock, you know. When Funk hit Flair with two power drivers, two of them on the I think it was two of them, one on the floor and one on the table. You know, Flair kicked out. You know, in the end, Flair put Funk through a table. He's going for like I think it was like a moonsault or something, but instead he kind of pushed Funk onto the table, and and then Funk failed to get up in the count of 10. So Flair won this match, won the Texas Death Match, and that was it. They never fought ever since. They never, I think, yes, they never fought ever since. You know, they move on to do their own thing. You know, Flair was part of the Millionaires Club. I think he feuded with Vince Russo and his son David. You know, go check my review of WCW, the last Great American Bash in WCW history. That was in the year 2000 for more information. So, you know, it's just what it is. You know, it's their first match back. They haven't fought, you know, in years because Funk went on to go to, I think it was in Japan, ECW, and then the WWF. It's just what it is, you know. Not on the same level as their I Quit match, you know. They did a good callback to their epic I Quit match at Clash of the Champions in 1989. You know, when Funk said to Flair, "Do you want to quit?" I wish they did an I Quit match. I think it was way better. I think it was sort of more of a purpose than a Texas Death Match. You know, it was confusing. Like, if you make someone pin or submit, you have to get out of the count of 10. It's just confusing. They should have done a last man standing match or an I Quit match. That's just me. But besides that, it was a good match to watch. But after that, it did not really save the show. Moving on to the final two matches on the show. We got Hulk Hogan taking on the Total Package Lex Luger with Miss Elizabeth in his corner. Because at the moment in time, Luger and Miss Elizabeth are married in real life. They remain as a couple until Miss Elizabeth died in 2003. I don't want to get into it because this year marks the 20th anniversary of her death. You know, I think they were at the time, you know, like Luger was a dick to her, like physical abused her. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. So, anyway, so the build up to this, you had Luger at this moment in time breaking arms. You know, I'm guessing it's WWE's version of Lex Luger Hall of Pain. This is before Mark Henry ended up doing the Hall of Pain thing in 2011, breaking his opponent's legs with chairs. Now Luger's breaking his opponents with arms. Like, he broke Hulk Hogan's arm, Brian Knobbs' arm. I'm guessing Brian Knobbs is the real life friend of Hulk Hogan. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. He attacked Sting. Like, well, I think one more of the match, you know, they carried like a chair with the Hulkamania symbol on it, and the other side of the chair had the Sting's symbol on it. So I'm guessing he injured Sting in the process. The match was okay. You know, it wasn't terrible. I thought it was going to be a snore fest, you know, because Luger's okay in the ring. Hogan, I think Hogan is also okay in the ring. I think with the right opponent, you could pull up some magic, but this time, no magic. It was just an okay standard Hulk Hogan match, you know. It was fast-paced, you know, a typical punch, whipping each other with the weightlifting belt. You know, I don't say it's bad. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a terrible match. So, in the end, Hulk Hogan got the victory. He hit, before that you had, you know, Jimmy Hart, you know, snatched the bat off the arms of Miss Elizabeth, or the hands of Miss Elizabeth, and then Hogan hit the leg drop onto Luger, and afterwards, you know, Hogan whipped Luger more with the weightlifting belt, and then out comes Ric Flair. Luger and Flair beat down both Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart, and then I think Flair working on the knee of Hulk Hogan, and I don't understand why Hogan's wearing trunks at this moment in time, because you can tell, like, Hogan's, he's kind of slimming down a little bit. You know, he's not bulky when he was in the 80s or in the early 90s. Fast forward to, like, in the 90s, going into the 2000s of WCW, he's starting to cycle off a little bit. You know, I think, you know, Hogan always has, I find Hogan had a bang average physique. He never had, like, a great physique. like the Ultimate Warrior. He's an okay physique, but it's not like a muscular, ripped, vascular physique. That's just me. Anyway, so out comes Sting, came to the rescue, and that was it. It didn't went anywhere because because WCW did the reboot, and then Hogan, Flair, Sting, Luger end up forming the Millionaires Club, feuded with the New Blood. That's another story for another time. I might review it when I review if one day I review WCW Slamboree 2000, the final Slamboree in WCW history. But besides that, okay match, not terrible. It was just kind of there. So moving on to the main event. So the main event, this is a three-way dance. How the fuck they never got sued by ECW? That's mostly ECW's trademark matches, three-way dance. Anyway, so this is for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Sid Vicious defending the belt against Scott Hall and Jeff Jarrett with the Harris brothers in their corner. So, like I said, this is the post-Chris Benoit pay-per-view. So, Benoit won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship at Sold Out, and then suddenly he left the company, took Guerrero, my apologies, he took Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Paris Saturn with him to the WWF, formed the Radicals. So, and once again, WCW starting to have to crown a new WCW World Champion. So, after Benoit, Sid Vicious won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship after Chris Benoit. I think it was on the 24th of January's episode of Monday Nitro, and then the day later they kind of stripped Sid off the title because at the time Kevin Nash was a commissioner of WCW. Sid pinned the Ron Harris twins. So and then on the same night, Nash won the WCW World Title. That was a tape. By the way, it was a tape delay. By the way, and then on the same Nitro, or the same Thunder actually, it wasn't Nitro, it was Thunder. Then on the same Thunder, Sid won the title again. It makes him a two-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion because it's the first world title he won since becoming the WWF Champion in 1997. So anyway, so at this moment in time, and also this is a post NWO pay-per-view because I'm talking about the NWO 2000. That's the Outsiders, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, the Chosy one, Jeff Jarrett, and I think Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, and the Hitman Bret Hart. At this moment in time, the NWO 2000 is disbanded. It's no more because after Bret Hart retired, you could tell the company, and also Scott Hall doing his own thing, you could tell the company was on its not the company but the group is on its last legs. Jeff Jarrett turned on both Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash suffered I think he had an ankle injury, like he was on a wheelchair. With the guitar. So and also Jeff Jarrett at the time, he was the United States champion. So he's searching for his first world title in his career. So let's talk about this match. So this match between Jarrett, Sid, and Scott Hall for the WCW World Heavyweight title in a three-way dance. Main event sucked. This is not a pay-per-view match. This is a match you probably see on Thunder or Nitro. There's so much whistleblowing and outside interference. It was stupid all the time. And also, Jeff Jarrett's a dumbass. He keep hitting the referees with strokes. Hit Nick Patrick with the stroke, Charles Robinson with the stroke. What's his name? Mickey J with the stroke. And then you got this crooked referee called Slick Johnson. I think he got attacked by Jarrett. I'm not too sure on it. Then out comes Roddy Piper. This is technically his last pay-per-view appearance. We'll get to that shortly. He's at this time a referee at this moment in time because he refereed the Bret Hart Goldberg match at Starrcade of 1999. I think he was wearing a sling. I'm guessing he injured his arm. Anyway, so he thought he's helping Jarrett win the WCW World title. Unfortunately, he turned on Jeff Jarrett. He poked him in the eye. In the end, Sid Vicious won this match and retained the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. This was the final pay-per-view appearance of Roddy Piper because later on that year in May, he got released by the company because they did a budget cut, and also Piper sued WCW for I think he sued him for age discrimination. I don't want to get into that. So, and also this was Scott Hall's final WCW pay-per-view appearance, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I might tell you again when I review the final Bash of the Beach show in WCW history in the year 2000 later on, maybe this summer. I'm gonna tell you right now. So at this moment in time, Scott Hall was in this relationship of a WCW PA who is the niece. She's the niece of, at the time, the WCW president, Brad Siegel. So, and then when the company 1 month later, this is a month later. So a month later, the company was touring around Europe, figure in Germany. Hall was bumped into his old wife or girlfriend, and then the current girlfriend of Scott Hall caught Scott Hall talking to his old flame wife or girlfriend. So I think the like Scott, like the current girlfriend of Scott Hall, I'm talking about in the year 2000 because Scott Hall died of right now, but like the current girlfriend of Scott Hall like rushed back to Brad Siegel, and they basically, I think Scott Hall was in the doghouse or got fired, so he's not allowed back to WCW. They did this whole segment in a match at Bash of the Beat 2000 between Kevin Nash and Goldberg when Scott Hall's contract was on the line, because even though Scott Hall was gone from the company at this moment in time, so he was in the doghouse because I don't think he had an affair with the old girlfriend of Scott Hall. He just basically talked chat, and then the current girlfriend of Scott Hall just got really jealous, and then so she rushed back to her uncle Brad Siegel, and yep, he was gone. So he had a cup of coffee in ECW, and then you won't see Scott Hall again until making his return to the work with Vince again in WWF in 2002 when they reformed the NWO with Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and the rest is history. Go and watch my review of WWF No Way Out 2002 for more information. So and by the way, at this moment in time, Kevin Sullivan will end up getting more aftermath. By the way, before we get to my overall rating of the show. So anyway, so after this, Kevin Sullivan was fired from WCW. They decided to bring back Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, and then they decided to reboot WCW. The product, all the titles were strict, including Sid as the world champion, and it led up to Bischoff on that Nitro. What's up, Sid? Can't find your scissors. And Sid never got he never won the world heavyweight title ever again in his career, because he injured his leg the following year. So anyway, that's my final take on it. So it's just almost forgot to talk about that, So my final overall rating of WCW SuperBrawl 2000. This is a difficult one. I'm giving it 5. Actually, I give it 4 out of 10. This was an average show. It's not a perfect show. Is it a terrible WCW show in the year 2000? Nope. It didn't broke me. The one show really broke me was WCW Great American Bash 2000. That really broke me. This didn't broke me. It was, some okay matches, but some good matches. Like, they're not like save the show type of matches, or man, I need to go back to watch WCW SuperBrawl 2000. No, they're kind of decent for what it is. Like the stretcher match between the Mamalukes versus Flair and Crowbar. I like Vampiro versus Kidman, and also I like, in some sort of degree, the Texas Death match between Ric Flair and Terry Funk. You could say that was technically the match of the night, but besides that, you have some okay matches. But like I said, they belong on Nitro or Thunder. They're just they're not bad matches. They're not purposely got to be like 4-star bomb burners. They're just kind of there. But they're not bad on the show, man. The Cruiserweight, the opener was shit. The main event was shit. I don't like the Free Count versus Norman Smiley 3-on-1 handicap match. Tank Abbott versus Big Al. Leather Jacket on the pole match was crap. And also, I don't like I just don't like the Big Booker versus Big T match. It's just introduced a new member of the New Holland Heat. It didn't went anywhere because, like I said, Big T, Jay Briggs, and Cassius end up leaving WCW later that year. So anyway, so hope you enjoyed my review of WCW SuperBrawl 2000. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button, click the like, click the bell. Subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Be part of the Central Unit. What's your thoughts on WCW SuperBrawl 2000? For more wrestling videos and more. Next time, let's go to another worst year of WCW. Like, this is the first WCW 2000 pay-per-view I review in years. Let's go to the first 1995 WCW pay-per-view I haven't reviewed in years. And it's technically the last one I review on this section, you know, because I reviewed Starcade, I reviewed World War III, Halloween Havoc, Fall Brawl. I probably redo the shows again. Halloween, let's see, Uncensored, Bash at the Beach, Great American Bash. Yep, you know what I'm talking about. The next show I'm going to review is Super Brawl 5 from 1995. Until then, this is Essential Man officially signing out. And that's my review of WCW Super Brawl 2000. Not on a